So I just got done watching ReLIFE, and I loved it, and I thought it was great, and I'm going to do a rambly review of it because I don't think I'm going to write a full analysis video on this show. I said that at the start of my Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress vlog, and then I ended up writing a video about it anyways, which will probably come out in like a week and a half. But setting that aside, I would like to consider myself to be one of the world's foremost experts on anime romantic comedies. Unintentionally so. Sometime last October, I went through a phase of just watching nothing but anime romantic comedies for like a month, and I watched like a shit ton of them, and I figured out everything I like in them and everything I don't like, and I made this whole video, the 6 things I want from anime romance video, and I really like the genre of romantic comedies, and I don't know why. It's something about just a lot of them kind of coast on having really likable characters and just fun scenarios, and I like them when they're like it's like a perfectly acceptable level of melodrama, right? Like I can't stand shows where everyone's very serious and it's all drama all the time, but when you've got like a lighthearted show where it's about interpersonal emotions and stuff, it can be a lot of fun. So, in general, I would say I'm a fan of the genre. And ReLIFE is not exactly a romantic comedy, but what it felt to me was like a show written by someone who has seen a lot of anime romantic comedies and wanted to write one in which he was a part of it. Like, it felt like someone my age or older, writing, well, definitely older. I mean, the main character of this show is a 27-year-old guy. The idea of this show is that this 27-year-old dude, whose life is kind of like in the shit because he's having a hard time getting a decent job. He's kind of a NEET, and he gets this opportunity to have his physical appearance changed to that as of a 17-year-old and to re-experience the last year of high school while being monitored by the people from this corporation as part of this experiment thing. And they'll cover his living expenses for that year and offer him possibly offer him a job at the end of the year. So, to me, it was like seeing myself written into a high school romantic comedy, and the way the main character acts is exactly how I would imagine myself acting. So for me, there's like a weird, I wouldn't say wish fulfillment, because it's not like I necessarily would want to relive my last year of high school, but like it's this interesting experience of seeing like a self-insert into a high school romantic comedy, which one of the hardest things for me about watching any high school show is that I've been out of high school so long that to me, it's like reading the tropes from a distance. Like, I'm too old to actually relate to the characters, but I can sort of, recognize what's going on. And it's almost like playing, not playing God, but like looking in on this scenario and being above it all, because I'm older and more distant and I can read all these characters' emotions easily. I mean, aside from the fact that it's also a show, but it kind of gives me the opportunity to have this bird's eye view of something that to the characters they're experiencing in the moment. And so it's interesting to have a romantic comedy show where the main character is doing exactly that. He also has a bird's eye view of what's going on with all these characters because he's older and he recognizes what all of them are going through, but he's also intermingled and he's a part of it. And the kind of character that he is a lot like myself. Someone who didn't really get what was going on when I was in high school. Not that I was like terrible at it or that my life went horribly wrong afterwards or anything, but that as an adult now I get all that stuff. And so when I think about what would it be like if I went back, if I was in those romantic comedy anime scenarios, like I would get everything that was going on and be able to control my situation better, essentially. And I think that's what this show sort of plays to. And I love that it's not like this guy is super like into the idea of reliving high school. That's not what it's about. It's not like he feels like he fucked everything up and he wants to go back and change it. He's really just in it for the fact that it's a job. And that's my favorite thing about the show, because I think too easily this could have been like someone trying to fix everything that went wrong with their life, and it's not. Instead, it's just he's been put into this position, and he just kind of naturally gets it and can have more power than he had before. And I think that's fascinating, because it makes it less of like a weird desperation thing. Because like I can't relate to the stereotype character who thinks that everything went wrong and they want to go back and fucking redo everything, which is more of like what Orange feels like, which, I mean, in fairness, that show isn't the same kind of thing. It's it's a girl who writes a letter to her past self and tells her not to do certain things so that she won't regret them in the future. And I don't think that ReLIFE is so much about correcting your mistakes as it is learning from the past experience and then seeing how different you've become, that it's less about him redoing high school and more about going through high school, being an adult and being able to be like, wow, this is all the stuff I know now, and this is how different it feels, coming into this with the knowledge I have. And that's interesting to me. And I really like the main character guy. I'm glad they didn't make him like a fucking otaku or like a total like loser guy like every other show would do, Not to say that being an otaku makes you a loser, but like if I had to watch another fucking guy who like was talking about how this setting is just like in my arrow gaze, that I would have fucking shot myself after one episode. But he's just like a normal guy. And the tone of this show is like a shoujo manga, like of the actual conflicts going on in the show. It really strongly reminds me of Kimi ni Todoke, like especially the early part of Kimi ni Todoke, which is a great thing because that was a great rom-com with really likable characters and really fun scenarios. And what this show does better than Kimi ni Todoke is that it's not fucking slow. It actually moves at a really good pace. A lot of the conflicts are resolved within an episode or two. You don't have these misunderstandings that drag on forever, which is also part of why I say that it feels like it was written by somebody who is who knows this genre really well and wanted to do like a better version, or one that's like more appreciable by adults, like something that doesn't waste too much of my time. I'm so glad this thing came out Netflix style. They released the whole show at once, which is a fucking godsend. And I talked about in my 10 things that are exciting about anime this decade or whatever, 10 best things happening in anime this decade. I talked about how I'm a huge fan of these new release schedules that shows are doing, where they're experimenting with different ways of release, and seeing an anime do the Netflix style and drop all at once is like perfect for me, because I hate watching weekly shows. I never do it. As a lot of you probably have realized, I really do watch all the first episodes for the Weebcast, and then I don't watch anything else all season. And then once the shows are over, I marathon them. That's how I watch anime, because I fucking hate watching stuff weekly. So when a show drops all at once, and it's just there, and I can marathon the whole thing, and I can review it immediately, so it's great for my job, that I don't have to fucking sit around for 12 weeks looking at like the show and going, well, I don't really want to cover it till it's over. It's beautiful, and for me it's especially cool because I get to be a part of the hype wave for once, where I tend to come to shows after everyone's already, formed and had their opinions about them, and end up hearing all this fucking shit. And this time I just got to watch it and, be a part of the wave. So I'm probably one of the first people who's reviewing this show, and it's a positive review. I thought it was great. I love all the characters. I love Hishido, that she's like literally autistic, and I think well written in that regard, because there's a lot of anime characters that I have been diagnosing with like Asperger's or autism, like that I've been saying, like I keep calling Senjo Gahara from Bakemonogatari. I always call her like autistic or having Asperger's at least. And there's a bunch of characters I feel that way about, but not so much. I don't think a lot of them feel deliberate to me. It's more like they tried to write an awkward character. But this one, she kind of feels like she's deliberately supposed to have like a social ineptitude disorder. Like, it's not just that she's like a weird character. She's like, she's got fucking Asperger's. She cannot understand human emotions or read people. And I mean, maybe it's not like a literal chemical thing in her brain, but like when she finally explained like why she, stopped understanding people, is that she moved constantly growing up. And I was like, holy shit, that's why I didn't understand anybody when I was in high school. Because I moved 17 fucking times when I was in school, and I never had a friend for more than a year, with very rare exceptions. And I transferred schools all the time, and I just never got people. I didn't get what other people were interested in or make any longtime friends, and that's why I didn't get how to talk to people. And it wasn't until after high school that I learned all those skills, you know? Like, I met some people in the, like, last years of high school who did become my long-term friends, and, you know, meeting people online and meeting people later on, I formed long-time friendships, and now I can communicate with people normally. And if I went back to high school like the main character does, I think I'd have a much easier time being friends with everybody, because I get people now, and I get, like, the ideas of what are social norms and social interaction, and how to just be, like, a charismatic person and have people talk to you. So that's how I felt watching this, was like, man, I totally get how Hoshino ended up that way. Hoshino, did I fuck up? I don't remember her name. I keep getting it wrong. I totally get how she ended up that way, and how the main guy has gotten better from that. And I'm gonna start spoiling everything now, so if you just wanted a recommendation, go watch the show. And now I'm gonna spoil everything. It was pretty, like, obvious that she was going to have been the original ReLIFE patient. That, like, the main guy was, he was number 2, and they were hiding who number 1 had been the whole time, and it seemed like she was the only logical choice. But at the same time, I wasn't sure, because why would they make her do it again if she failed the first time? So I was really curious about it, but it seemed obvious. And so they kind of dump it on you at the last minute at the end of the show that they finally reveal it. Because, like, the whole time I really was like, okay, is it fucking her or not? I can't fucking tell, because they're giving us so little information. And then they just fucking drop that little bomb on you at the end. But I'm really fascinated by that, because of the fact that, like, if she was just a high schooler and she had that personality, that's one thing. And you would imagine that, you know, she's going to start turning around. But knowing that she's a full-grown adult who never figured this stuff out and has gone back to high school and still not figured it out is doubly interesting to me. So I'm looking forward to where they'll go with that if they make another season. And if they don't make another season, I'm going to be fucking pissed off. Because the thing about this was like weird to me, because when the show came out, like, my initial thought was, all right, 13 episodes dropped all at once, probably a complete story. It only takes place over a year, the way the plot is set up. And then as I was watching it, I tweeted about how cute An is, because, oh my god, An, character design, beautiful, voice, unbelievably sexy. Could not handle her. I was very happy when I found out that she was actually older, and I was like, oh, thank God, because she's beautiful and I love her. But anyway, I was tweeting about how cool she is, and then someone responded like, oh, glad to hear the anime's pretty good. I've read all of what's out so far of the manga, and that's when I went, oh, so far of the manga. So it's a still running manga. So this anime doesn't have an ending. There's no way. So, but what was weird about it was that as the show went on, it kept introducing conflicts and then resolving them. And by the end of the last episode, it had resolved almost everything. We finally had fucking, what's her name and what's his name hooking up, which was adorable. And I was, rooting for it. I loved both of those characters. I love that the guy was so fucking dense. I love that he's like a pretty boy and dense, but not athletic, and he's totally like a book smart guy. He's just a fun character. And then Karyu, I love her because she fails constantly, and it's a joy to watch. Watching someone fail in that way is always a lot of fun to me. She reminds me a lot of the girl from Kimi ni Todoke who was in love with what's his name? But I think she works even better in this case because it's not a love triangle and she does actually hook up with the guy, so we kind of get to have her continue to be a character after recognizing her failures. Because, like, in Kimi ni Todoke, that girl kind of, like, she became friends with the main character girl, but after that she kind of had nothing left to do because he obviously wasn't going to hook up with her, so she was kind of, like, redundant. And in this case, we got a character who, her conflict wasn't a love triangle conflict. It was with another character, and it was a friendship conflict. But it served a lot of the same purpose of helping to... I guess it was more like the fighting between the two girls who became friends with the main girl in Kimi ni Todoke, the way that it related to Hoshi... What's her fucking name? I don't remember her name. I can't... The names in this show were not easy for me. I don't know why. So I was glad that that got resolved. There were all these little conflicts that were getting resolved, and it was like, the one girl's making friends, she's coming out of her shell, the main character guy gets past this hurdle in this mental block he's had ever since his senpai at work committed suicide, which was a great subplot. I love that there was something that, like, dark and adult in this show, which is, like, what I really appreciate about this show the most is that it takes you back and forth between this, like, you know, this teen romantic comedy thing that's like its own story, and then also the main character story, which is like a really adult and mature, like, thematic story, and it doesn't skimp out on that part. You know, like, the two stories almost feel separate in a way because, like, his real life problems aren't shirked away, where I think in a lot of shows it would have been like, well, he's a NEET, so nothing he's done since high school mattered, and he's just back in high school, and this is what matters. But it's not like that. Like, a lot of his problems came in adulthood and came from the last 10 years. And I'm glad they said it, you know, so far out of high school, where he's been 10 years out and he's had a lot of things happen to him. So, you know, there's a lot of history to be explored in what brought him to the position he's in now, and more weight to the idea of him getting over it. So, you know, he had this big moment of getting over this hurdle, and then the last episode, fuck the ending of this show, because they cock tease, like, they hook up the other couple, and then the whole episode is just fucking teasing at the main two hooking up, and it's like, because you've made it this far in, you're like, this is the only unresolved conflict. This is the only thing that's been set up so far that we don't know the resolution to, at least the only major thing. So I'm like, are they gonna do it? Will they, won't they? And it's torturing you, and then it doesn't give a fucking answer, and it just ends. And I was like, you motherfucker. So, however, I will say that there are more questions I would want answered by a season 2. I want to know everything to do with the one girl's past. I want to know, like, what she's been doing for the last 10 years since high school, how she fucked up on her ReLIFE program, how Yoake fucked up doing his job, and I need, like, because he seems like an interesting character. He clearly has a lot of, I think he himself is also trying to get over his life problems through participating in this, and, you know, has a lot that he can learn from the experience as well. I want to see the main romance happen. I want to see them continue to be together after they both end the ReLIFE program and go on to become the adults that they really are. And I really want to know how they're going to find out or reveal to one another that both of them are adults. Now, my concern is, I don't know if that's a whole season's worth of material. I don't know how the manga's been going. I don't know how much of the manga is left after the end of the show. And maybe I'll read it if I don't hear anything about a season 2 anytime soon. But, like, I need these answers. But, like, my biggest worry is that I'm gonna get Kimi ni Todoke Season 2 again, where they waste, like, 7 or 8 episodes on a fucking will they, won't they, and just introduce all these complications to make it stop. But I don't see that happening because the show hasn't done that yet. Like, there's never been anything that was just contrived for the sake of elongating the problem or making the drama more dramatic. Usually, the drama resolves pretty quickly, sometimes overly conveniently. Like, there's parts where I would say the worst offender is when they drag Kaeru up in front of the door where her friend is like just expositing like how she feels about the situation, and they like drag her up right as the conversation's getting to the relevant part, and I was like, all right, that's a little too convenient. But I appreciate that it's fast and that I didn't have to wait all fucking year to find out how this situation was going to be resolved. So, again, I feel like it's written for people like me who've got way too much experience with this genre, and we just want to see the best elements. We want to cut it down to the basic best things about a high school rom-com and tailor it so that it somehow relates to being my age, so that I don't feel like I'm just watching some high school shit that's kind of, that I'm kind of out of the depth of. It also has problems that are relevant to people my age, and themes that I find relatable. So it's cool. It's a mingling of something that I can actually appreciate, and also the thing that I waste my time on all the time anyways, which is high school romance from anime. So yeah, I would give it a strong 7 to a light 8, or a light to decent 8. Let's go with that. I'd give it an 8.25 out of 10. I really have, I have no problems with it other than the fucking ending and, needing a season 2. It's not so incredibly strong that it's like a 10 out of 10, but it passed all 6 of my criteria in my things I want from anime romance video. It was very well directed. It was, it didn't fuck around too much. It had characters that I liked immediately and wanted to see together. It had, it hasn't done too much of, presenting problems in the relationships of the characters, which is something else I could like to see from a season 2. Kaeru and Oga, I could see them having some conflict, but nothing too serious. But, I really want to know how the main character and the girl will clash, and that could be interesting. So, yeah, let's get a second season. I want it.